News with Gina.
The news with Gina Grad.
Well, some sad news to get through. 1 week after a mass shooting in Gilroy, California, there were two more over the weekend. The first was in El Paso, Texas, at a Walmart. That killed at least 21 people on Saturday. Followed less than 24 hours later by a shooting in Dayton, Ohio, that killed at least 9. Federal investigators in El Paso are considering hate crime charges and treating the shooting spree there, which wounded another 27 people, as an act of domestic terrorism. The suspect in the El Paso massacre has been identified as a 21-year-old man, not saying his name. He apparently posted an anti-immigrant manifesto minutes before he started shooting. He was apprehended by the police, and they said without incident. Meanwhile, in Dayton, this is odd as well. 9 people were killed, 27 wounded. The suspect was identified as a 24-year-old man killed by the police shortly after he opened fire. Police haven't established a motive for him, but did say that one of the victims was his 22-year-old sister. And what I thought I read was they found her dead in the car, I believe. But I might need to double check that. Or in a car.
We are going wacky. Like everyone's, sadly, I don't know, this era. You know, every era has its own struggles. You know, earlier there's famine, disease. You know, the things every time there's, you know, Dr. Drew would tell you throughout history, 1 in 3 women would die during childbirth.
Right.
You know, it's like every era has its own things to deal with. This era will be known for being out of problems and going nuts. Like prescription meds.
Turning on ourselves.
Guns, just going insane. Playing too many video games, too many guns, too many this will be too much. You know, it was like in the past, like not enough food, not enough bread, not enough shelter, not enough penicillin, like, or a war. There was a world war, you know, and everyone was involved. You know, this will just be us eating our own brains. This will be our own. This will be what this era.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Now, I'm assuming at some point this little experimental will end and we'll figure out what good mental hygiene kind of looks like just staring at a computer all day or whatever we end up trying to figure out how to fix this. I'm sure in future generations they will figure it out. This little era will be like, you know, the excess and the 70s and disco and all that kind of stuff, cocaine and parties. This will be weird, everyone's brain eating itself era.
Yeah. Why does it manifest itself here then as mass shootings? Why? Assuming there is the same, I agree. I'm on board with your theory that we're doing it to ourselves, that we're turning on ourselves, that we're going nuts. Why here? Why this? Because assuming this happens the same rate, the mental illness or the medication or the whatever you want to say occurs the same rate everywhere. Ostensibly, Canada, England, whatever country you want to say, Mexico. Why this here?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out why. I'm trying to figure out the mental illness part, like Mexico,
Well, I'm assuming that's the same everywhere. Why then?
Oh, I do think there's places are different. You know, Japan or Mexico versus the United States. Like, I feel like in a world like in Mexico where there's a struggle, there's some gravity, like you have to kind of get up and go to work and push against something all day. I feel like there's less mental instability. I think it's the zero gravity. Obviously, the guns are a big part of it, but I also think I think in places where there's real problems, like in Africa and stuff like that, it's like every day is just sort of getting up and struggling. There's a struggle.
I don't have an answer or a theory, but I'm wondering, we can talk this out. Why? I have to assume Canada has about the same rate of gun ownership, maybe more. Maybe there's more hunters in Canada. Maybe there's more.
They have higher in, I don't know, the Netherlands or something, where like everyone's part of the citizens' army or something. They're like issued a rifle, or I might be screwing it up, but some version of that.
Right.
Yeah.
But then it's insane that it happens so much more often.
Well, and this was a theory I heard on the way in, because, of course, everyone's kind of analyzing it today. And I don't know who this expert was or what made him an expert, but he went through this 5-point reason of why he thinks there's an uptick. But the one that really stood out to me, because I've never heard anyone say it, is he said, this country has, unlike other countries, has a fascination with infamy. And so these young kids who feel, brutalized or somehow attacked in their own life and want to get even also, are collectors. Instead of baseball cards, they're collecting the stories of these other shooters.
I would say
Interesting.
I agree. I always say all roads lead to narcissism. I think there's a removal of God, religion, and sort of family. Like a sort of, you've removed that, you've replaced it with a lot of first-person shooter video games, and then there's this prescription meds
but they
and
play the
things
same video
like
games
that.
everywhere, though. They play the same video
South
games
Korea,
everywhere.
the big
Yeah,
capital of it.
I'm saying the removal of family and religion and the addition, I think everything's a combination of things. I don't think it's like one thing or the other. I think if you have a intact family and you go to church or synagogue, sorry for dumping the Jews in here, but you do that, whatever your version of that is, and your kid plays first shooter video games, we don't really need to worry about it. It's maybe a combo of many. It's many things. It's a cocktail.
What takes over that vacuum space?
Yeah, and there's also a kind of a ultimate. It sounds weird, but it takes that's part of the self-esteem generation where my self-esteem's too low to kill anybody. Like, what business do I have ending someone else's life? You have to have, in a way, you have to be at least grandiose. There's the thing. I think it's a cocktail. I think it's this self-esteem movement. It's grandiosity. It's a family breakdown. It's the loss of religion or spirituality, whatever it is, influx of video games and prescription medication. And also, we have a society that if somebody takes a Tide detergent pod and eats it and films themselves eating it, several million Americans will eat a detergent pod the following day. Now, that's scary. And you can go, well, that's not this. Well, it's not this. What I'm saying is there's a large group of people who would go, that I saw this,
that
and
can
now
be done.
That can be done. Eating detergent, it's not on anyone's list, and I don't have mass shootings on my list, but I don't have eating detergent either.
At least it's way down there.
There's a percentage of society that responds to that. Yeah. And there is simply the monkey see, monkey do. Like, it is a thing now.
It's a self-generating machine.
It wasn't a thing. I don't know. It wasn't a thing when we were growing up or years ago. It wasn't a thing to travel in an airplane without wearing a jacket and tie. Now it's sweatpants and flip-flops. It didn't exist. It wasn't a thing.
Right.
Now it is a thing.
Right.
To figure out a way to not make it a thing anymore, which is the sad reality.
Well, New England Patriots quarterback Tom Brady plans to play for at least 2 more years. According to ESPN, he's finalizing a contract extension, and I imagine you want to know what it's worth, and I have the details. Under the new deal, Brady will remain with the Patriots through 2021 and will make $23 million this year. That's an $8 million raise. The new deal will make Brady the 6th highest paid quarterback in the NFL. Who's above him?
That's the joke, though. He's laughing at all those guys making all that money. When you make that much money in a salary cap team and you dominate that much as a quarterback, you are cannibalizing the money that gets spent on other positions that could help you win and play a better quarterback. Tom Brady's like, I'll take the 6th salary, whatever it is. Like, he's getting paid well, but like he's spending the team's spending that money on defense and receivers and whoever. Well, not receivers, but defense.
Yeah, and then they spend it on a strong side tackle that could prevent him from being injured and put out of the league.
Yeah. Joke's on all those other guys.
He's a perfect example of how you should play this. So many guys have gone for the short money and gone somewhere and went to a losing franchise and then just injured and disappeared. And also, by the way, Brady is Brady because he's in the Belichick system. You go over to the Raiders, I don't know what Brady ends up being if he went to the Raiders 7 years ago or something like that, number one. But also, if you think about what Tom Brady's accomplished, if you think about just like what that guy's done, from his combines to, barely getting, when he was drafted in the league and like what that guy, what he's done from there, what he did from there to what he is now, it's absolutely amazing, the work ethic and the strategy and everything else. Also, his wife, Gisele Bündchen, has earned more money than him over the same period of time.
Yep.
For shaking her ass.
She took no lumps.
Or not, posing.
Yeah, and just as
She out-earns him every year.
That's right.
As a little fun fact, no quarterback apparently has ever started all 16 regular season games at the age of 42. And that's going to be a new benchmark
He
for
takes
him.
care of himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, at a certain point, you hate these guys when they're beating your team all the time, but at some point you just have to bow before them. You just have to
pretty
go,
incredible.
you're better than I am.
Right.
Yeah.
He's found so many ways to win. He won the Super Bowl, was it 13-3, 13-10, whoever it was, and we had the 16-0 season where they lit up the scoreboard and set a whole bunch of records. Like, he's won in so many ways.
I know.
I love that
Rams fan is hurt, but yes.
I love that he's being praised, and I get why, but as being financially and fiscally conservative for just the $23 million.
Jesus
What
Christ.
character?
When it's safe.
Yeah. So Kevin Spacey is performing again. The Oscar
I'll
winner.
bet you Brady, if they got him in the 11th grade, would have beat that rape rap.
Yeah.
Oh, that actually happened. You didn't know that? I was there. It was me and him in the hallway.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt Brian and explain that my high school had a separate secret room that I would go to and beat off in during school hours.
not the
before I
exact same.
Cleaned myself up and made my way back to class.
Right.
That glow with the afterglow.
Your hand was going to take you to court.
Mr. Corolla, this is the teacher's lounge.
So Kevin Spacey back to performing, kinda. The Oscar winner, whose groping case was dismissed last month, performed at a museum in Rome. While standing in front of this bronze statue, he recited "Boxer at Rest." It's an Italian poem. He recited it in English to a, quote, handful of spectators. According to TMZ, the poem's about a beaten and tired boxer who's determined not to give in or give up. It was his first public appearance in 2 years. This is what it looked like, and you can call your own out because it's over 2 minutes.
Say that again, please. I can't hear what you're saying. My face is made of bronze. Can't you see? Look at my eyes, my ears, my chest. Say it again if you like, or save your breath. The words give way before me. Every time there is something that doesn't add up, the voice is lost. I don't know why, but it is never enough. What is that you're saying?
What? How?
That's
All right,
right.
you can pause this.
No.
But did he call this? Did he just start doing it?
It doesn't seem like it was an invited performance. It kind of seems like he had something to say and made his way up there. But Chris, I don't know if you could find any details on it, but I didn't have any.
Was he in Italy or was the poem in Italian? Did I misunderstand?
I
Where was
believe he was in Rome.
Okay.
Yeah, museum in Rome.
Okay.
And that's his way of getting back on his feet. Getting his feet wet again.
Let's see.
Didn't he do that one weird video in character?
In his kitchen.
Yeah.
He
Poor guy.
He was accused of a bunch of stuff, right?
Yeah, there's still charges in England. Mm-hmm. Scotland Yard.
Kevin, stay out of Europe.
It's so weird. I marvel at a bunch of things, which is people go shoot up Walmarts routinely now, but no one ever commits suicide who's accused of heinous multiple crimes. Not Spacey needs to, but I'm always sort of always kind of surprised.
Looks like Epstein tried.
Well, he already went.
I know.
He went inside, but I mean, in Epstein, they're in. But I mean, I always kind of thought about your
Cosbys.
I don't know, your Cosbys and even your OJs.
But back to your point about narcissism.
Right. I do.
To think that you could get away with these things. O.J. Simpson killed 2 people on a courtyard, off the side. I drove past the place on Bundy, I never put 2 and 2 together, and I looked, and it's right there. The courtyard is 10 feet off the sidewalk.
It is.
To think that you get away with that is the same person that would not kill themselves.
Yeah, I don't. It is weird.
Put up a picture of that courtyard, not with the bodies, but
Yeah. And it's the cops are trying to frame a black man. You know how many black guys they'd have to get to before they get to OJ? I mean, in terms of framing the black man, this as a premise, what happened? Cops framing the black man. Don't you think?
Anyone in particular?
He lived in Bel Air.
Yeah.
He took pictures with the cops. He played golf.
They
with
were
them.
always over swimming.
It's insane. It's such an insane premise. The framing of the black man as a general premise, I will go along with. Not this one.
Enthusiastically.
Yes. I will be right there with you. I will be leading that march. But this guy, that's a tough premise to sell.
On the scale of most black to least black, OJ was decidedly on one side.
Yes.
By the way, I know that we all feel like we've had it with the OJ trial and we know everything, but I just listened to the entire Kim Goldman podcast, her new series about OJ, confronting OJ. I think it's 9 or 10 episodes.
Jesus.
It is really interesting, and there is some new information.
That's confronting OJ,
Yes.
a mother's nightmare.
Yeah, of course it is. Well, she's a mother now.
It's a siren song to every bitch on the planet. I'm ringing a dinner bell.
How
Come
dare
on
you?
down.
She lost her brother.
I know. It's still a mother's nightmare.
It is a mother's nightmare.
Everything's a mother's nightmare.
Well, not their mother's nightmare because she left, but yes, another mother's nightmare.
Yeah. Is there something you learned that's insane?
There's a lot of stuff. They interview jurors, like the guy that gave the Black Power salute. They get a letter back from Judge Ito. I mean, just all these years later,
So
really.
awkward. Hey.
That's exactly right. And jurors, these kind of faceless, voiceless people that are deciding your fate. And she talks to Lionel Cryer, the guy who alleges that was not a Black Power symbol, and a lot of other alternates on the jury. And Marcia Clark and Chris Darden do not see history the same way. And it's if you're into that kind of thing, it was really interesting, and it kind of gave a little bit of a better and more deep dive into Ron Goldman, because man, that kid, who was paying attention to him at the time? This was about OJ. Of course, it was about Nicole, as it should have been. But you do get to know this poor young man whose life was obviously cut too short,
and who I guess was just returning some glasses,
just bringing back the mother-in-law's glasses.
Listen, BrianBanks, hey, here's some papers. Take them to the office.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Ron, hey, if you're leaving, here's she left her glasses. Bring them by the house over there with the courtyard. Right?
Those moments where your life hinge.
You never know. Well, we're talking a lot about sports today, and a new study from Utah State University has found that the average child quits sports at the age of 11. Researchers say that kids end up pushing the eject button on sports for a bunch of reasons, including financial pressures, bad coaches, or it's just not fun. This leads to the kids spending less than 3 years playing a sport before calling it quits, according to ESPN. Meanwhile, the Aspen Institute's 2018 State of Play report also pointed a finger specifically at the coaches for kids quitting sports, concluding that a lack of training is the root of the problem. Kids who play for trained coaches drop out at a much less rate.
Well, there is no real barrier to entry. Like, I was talking to Bill Simmons, I think, about it yesterday. He's like, are you coaching? I'm like, I don't know. It seems like you should be qualified a little bit. Like, just go coach your teams.
Yeah.
He should. I mean, I would be a good coach, but it's just weird. They just go, you want to coach?
You don't have any certification.
Right.
You're an adult, right?
You played?
Do you have a car? Yeah. Okay. Well, coach.
Like to yell hustle?
Yeah, can you? Let's see how this windbreaker looks on you. Yeah,
Got a whistle?
I don't. I know the kids are probably less. They're less into doing stuff. Like when I grew up, it was a big long laundry list of shit you didn't want to do, but you just did it anyway.
Right.
Now it's a totally different environment. We live in an environment where my nanny, Olga, she'll make like chicken. And, like, my son will just, like, walk into the kitchen and go, what's for dinner? We're having chicken. And he'll go, oh, I wanted penne pasta. And, like, Olga will go, all right, I'll make some penne pasta. I'm like, there was none of ordering a second. It's what was there.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's kind of, we're kind of a lot more like that now. Like, hey, I don't want this, or I do want that, and I don't want it now, or I do want it now. I'm not going to do things I don't really want to do. Right. I felt like my entire childhood was a long road of stuff I didn't want to do, sprinkled in with little moments of stuff I wanted to do. I got to do.
Yeah.
Right. So I think if there's a sport, and like your second string and practice is kind of hot outside and all kinds of stuff, I just think you're out now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you really have a tolerance for doing it.
No. So between 8 to 11, that's your window.
Especially if you're, it's not, especially if you have somewhere to go. You got some videos, some air conditioning, you're out of there. It's just going to be more and more folks that have nowhere to go that are going to be engaging the sport. I think, especially in football, I heard a report that tackle football was like down, whatever percent in high school or whatever from year to year. It's just going to go. It's going to go down. It's just going to keep going down.
Do you think high school will ever go flag? Like
eventually,
for everybody?
Hold your tongue and say that sentence again.
No.
Okay.
I don't think that's a good idea.
Dudes are definitely going to be cheerleading and wearing skirts. Right. The guys will be playing flag.
They'll be passing leagues for sure. There'll be some high schools that fully adopt passing leagues. This is the slow erosion of football right before our eyes. Like, it's inconceivable now. Football's NFL, such a behemoth, right? Like, massive money making thing. But like, you start at the youth levels. In 10 to 12 years, the talent pool is going to start drying up. And California, along with Texas and Florida and Ohio, are the biggest, breeding grounds for talent. And you dry up one of those, and it's like, slow erosion.
Yep.
Yum.
Let's do one more.
All right. Well, Hooters is taking a nod from Clooney and Cranston, Aaron Paul. They are going into the liquor business. Next month, the company will be releasing a premium line of spirits featuring gin, vodka, rum, tequila, and whiskey, including the very special Hooters Heat Cinnamon Whiskey. All this booze will be available at all the Hooters across America.
Yeah.
Is that just Fireball competitor?
Exactly.
Gross.
Have you ever had Fireball? It is rough stuff.
I've tasted it.
Hot pancake syrup.
I don't. I get the part where you want to get buzzed, and I get the part where you're in the yummy phase and you want to get buzzed. But all the cotton candy flavored spirit, like all that, like Malibu rum kind of stuff that just tastes like. Is there a way I could get like fatter and dumber simultaneously? Because I like the idea that I'm getting fatter and dumber, but I really like to take my two loves and combine them into a Reese's peanut butter cup.
I'd like to be lazier.
Flavored vodka.
Like they infuse vodka with like a Jolly Rancher?
Yeah, it's getting a little nutty. Oh, there is a peanut butter whiskey?
Of course there is.
Yeah.
I'm not uninterested in trying that.
I got to say this, and I know I'm a little bit of a broken record here. Scotch or whiskey, what have you, rye, it's its own flavor. I want to keep telling it is a flavor.
Yes.
I feel the same way with the coffee and all the creamers and all the French vanilla and all that stuff. Coffee is a flavor. Just enjoy it. Or you don't like coffee. Or don't. Like vodka is a flavor. Go get the best vodka that has the best vodka flavor for you and enjoy your vodka flavor. I don't get that part. Now, I don't want to be a hypocrite because I did have a drink at the beach yesterday, and it was a little vodka that had like a little cucumber or something like infused in it, and it was fine, like summery, whatever. Like I still believe vodka is vodka, and it's fine, but it was fine.
You didn't throw it in Bill's face.
No, but it's when you start getting into like jerky flavored vodka and pot roast and stuff. Like, I don't mind a little zest, a little essence, a little something, a little lemon or something, but it's getting nutty. It's getting nutty now. Yeah. It's getting nutty, and all it is getting people to drink earlier and more, and it all feels kind of gooey and sad and pathetic, and it's the version of the KFC sandwich with the Cheetos on it and the Cheeto sauce. Like, I don't know. Good chicken sandwich is good. Do we need to?
Not broken.
Were we?
A lot of flavors going on that chicken sandwich. I know you had Cheetos.
Yeah, I don't know. Something happened to me early on, and I don't know if you guys are this way, which is I didn't like American cheese. Like, I'd have my friends would like pull out slices of American cheese, just pull the cellophane off and just start eating it. And I'd go, that tastes chemically and weird to me. Plastic. And they'd go like, oh, it's cheese, you know? And Gatorade tasted weird. Lemonade, awesome. Root beer, awesome. Gatorade tasted weird to me. I didn't like weird synthesized stuff.
They're not identifiable flavors like lemonade and root beer.
I didn't like any of the fake nacho cheese. I didn't like synthesized weirdness. I just like, let's go get the best lemonade we can find.
Yeah. I grew out, of course, as a kid, I liked the nacho cheese and all the fake stuff. I was a little kid, but the first thing I tried that tipped the scales for me was the first time I had a Twizzler, when I was like 10 or 12. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
It was like all plasticky.
Need your
and-
red
Yes.
vine.
Yeah, red vines are awesome.
Yeah, I know what I'm saying.
I felt this.
But Twizzlers, it was like all plasticky.
This is
and-
my Sunny D conundrum. Like, I loved orange juice. Orange juice tastes good. The closer you get to
Sure.
fresh squeeze, the better. You take a hit off the Sunny D, and you'd be like, what is this?
Yeah.
And they're like, that's Sunny D. We like it. I'm like, but I felt that way with even bologna and stuff like that. Like, let's give me some ham or some turkey or smoked turkey or something. Pastrami.
Something not pressed and formed.
There's a whole kind of synthesized part of society that I don't get, like a culinary synthesized part that people seem to dig, and I don't. When you go to like the Dodger game and you see the people like, I got the nachos, and I got the cup
and they
of
peel,
liquid
they
cheese,
peel the top off
and
it.
they're
skin on
dunking
it.
it. I'm like, that was $14? What are you doing, adult male? What the fuck? And they're like, I'm eating nachos. It's like, no, you're not. Why? Huh?
Yeah.
What is this?
And Brian, I imagine our moms are similar in some ways. Please tell me you've tried Crystal Light in the last 20 years,
Gross.
and it tastes very different from the Crystal Light of your childhood.
Yeah, gross.
Oh, God. Marlis loved her some Crystal Light.
I know, and all that stuff, all the substitute, all the low-cal, this got Splenda in it.
Yeah.
It's just, it all turned out to be a goddamn disaster.
Yeah, all the saccharin, the NutraSweet.
No free lunches, pardon the pun, in nature. All right, let's bring it home.
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
That was the news with Gina Grad.